वहीं मुख्यमंत्री कॉनराड के संगमा ने बजट सत्र के पहले दिन सोमवार को विधानसभा को हिंदी में संबोधित करने के राज्यपाल फागू चौहान के फैसले का बचाव किया है। हमारे पास अतीत में ऐसे मौके आए हैं जब राज्यपाल ने सदन को अंग्रेजी में संबोधित नहीं किया था। संगमा ने हिंदी में बोलने के राज्यपाल के फैसले के खिलाफ वीपीपी के 4 विधायकों के विरोध पर प्रतिक्रिया व्यक्त करते हुए कहा, राज्यपाल के अंग्रेजी में सदन को संबोधित नहीं करने का कारण बोलने या पढ़ने में सक्षम होने की सीमाएं हैं। Chief Minister, Conrad K. Sangma has defended Governor Fagu Chauhan's decision to address the Assembly in Hindi during the first day of the budget session here on Monday. We have had occasions in the past where the Governor had not addressed the House in English. The reason for the Governor not addressing the House in English is because of the limitations in terms of fluency of being able to speak or read.
About this because Hindi, it was objected that Hindi is being spoken by the government.
You see, first thing is that we have had occasions in the past also where the governor has not addressed the House in English. And in all the past situations, the primary reason has been because of the limitations that the respected governor had in terms of fluency with a particular language and not being able to speak or read a particular other language. And that is normal because our country is a very diverse country, and governors are sometimes from states which are more Hindi speaking, and as per the governor's capacity at that point in time, the past governors have also requested that they be allowed to speak in a language or read in the language that they're comfortable with, and that is the reason why the honorable governor, because of his limitations with English, had requested and that he be allowed to read in Hindi, and the English version of the entire governor's address was placed in the House for the members to refer to and to read. That's number one. So it's not that it's not happened in the past. Number one, it has happened. And more importantly, number two, it is not because they desire to speak in not in English and in Hindi, but it is because of the limitations that they have at a personal level, because of which they are not able to speak or read or their speech in English. So that's the first part of the entire point. Second is that when the governor is speaking, it's a very kind of a sacred and constitutional responsibility, and the governor is reading out the goals and objectives and the vision of the government, and this is something that is a moment that is very, very, as I said, it's very, very constitutionally very high, and one should not take it in a very light manner. So therefore, when a proceeding like that is taking place, when the honorable governor is going through or reading out the governor's address, there should be a certain level of respect that needs to be maintained. Decorum needs to be maintained in the House. And if there are issues and concerns, that is not the moment to bring out those concerns, especially when the governor is on his feet, or at least in this he had excused himself and he was reading his speech sitting. But point being that while he is speaking, it is very wrong and sets a very, very wrong precedent and a very strong example, and is in one way disrespectful to the chair of the governor when you interfere while he is speaking. So that was not correct, as I said. Third is that the issue of saying that our own language should be promoted, and the fact that we should ensure that our that our identity should be maintained. These things are important to all our members. All the political leaders have always maintained that our identity, promotion of our language is important. But bringing that into a situation now when the governor's address is being given, and because of limitations, he's not able to speak in English, is again incorrect. And therefore, combining these two and connecting these two dots is completely unfair to the Honorable Governor. And hence, for the Honorable Governor to be speaking in the House in a different language, which some of the members may not understand, does not mean that this House or he or anybody is disrespecting the local sentiments or local language. But in today's world, there are complications. In today's world, if today any of our members, our honorable members, were to go to any other state that does not speak in English, and suppose our members were told to speak, and they was told if you don't speak in Hindi, or if you don't speak in, say, if they happen to go to Tamil Nadu, and they're told you cannot speak in any other language except Tamil. Obviously, these kind of things cannot happen. We are in a global world. And language is something that just happens to be a way of communication. Just because a person is not able to speak in a particular language does not mean a person is disrespecting our people or our language. And it is wrong to draw to that conclusion that just because a person spoke in that manner or in a particular language, that he or she is disrespecting our people. As I said, there were limitations, and that's why this happened. So it is not correct to connect these 2 points. And as I said, there'll be many situations in which some of our honorable members who are not able to speak, say, in Hindi, may have to go to Delhi and may have to meet honorable ministers in Delhi to get different support for their constituencies and for the state. Now, if you go there and then suddenly the minister says, if you don't speak in Hindi to me, I will not listen to you, you cannot enter my room. That's not the way things work. We have to realize, we have to be mature about the entire thing. And as I said, this is a global, scenario, a national scenario. As I said, just because a person is not able to speak a particular language does not lead to the conclusion that they are disrespecting. So hence, one has to understand that there are these limitations. And obviously, we need to work with these limitations. And the Honorable Governor, not by choice, but because of the limitations, he had to speak in Hindi. So it would be wrong, as I said, and incorrect to jump to that conclusion. Lastly, when it comes to the entire issue of, the entire patriotism that we all talk about, I also want to make it clear that we have to remember that each and every one of us here, be it any tribe, any community, any language-speaking community, obviously we all love our own people. We have a sense of patriotism in us. But having that sense of patriotism and love for our people doesn't get stronger just by hating others, or by bringing down others, or by bringing comments like these that you cannot speak in this language. It does not strengthen your patriotism. It just creates the negativity which is not healthy at all in our society. And hence, loving your own people is one thing, but loving your own people and hating others is again another different thing altogether. That is not the kind of culture that we would like to see, especially in the assembly. Of course, there are many issues that are there related to many communities and societies and
However, इस तरह वॉकआउट करके आप सदन का अपमान कर रहे हैं। हालांकि संगमा के कैबिनेट मंत्री एम एम्पारीन लिंगदोह ने विपक्षी विधायकों को अपना समर्थन दिया। हम सभी जानते हैं कि हमारे अधिकांश लोगों द्वारा हिंदी को अच्छी तरह से नहीं समझा जाता है। वास्तव में मुझे भाषण का अनुसरण करने में भी कठिनाइयों का सामना करना पड़ा, भले ही एक लिखित अनुवाद उपलब्ध कराया गया हो। मुझे लगता है कि हमें इससे निपटने का तरीका खोजना चाहिए। Sangma's cabinet minister M. Ampareen Lingdoh extended his support to the opposition legislators. Had to do it, even if a written translation was made available. I think we should find a way to deal with.
The roles have to be always maintained. We must remember that it is necessary to communicate the inability of the state of Meghalaya, citizens of the state of Meghalaya, who do not speak Hindi, who do not understand Hindi. So it is important to highlight that, and I am happy that it was highlighted once again this year, because we need to be consistent about that. We need to make sure that government of India knows that the people of the state of Meghalaya do not understand Hindi. In fact, even we were having some difficulty following the language that was spoken, even though the written speech was given to us. So this is important that we consistently inform and highlight to the government of India that we are a non-Hindi speaking community.
You did not object when the matter was brought in the cabinet. You should have objected. No.
We had, in fact, matter speaking in a specific language is not a matter of the cabinet. This is something which we anticipated will happen. Not necessary that it was discussed in the cabinet, but there is a language barrier. The Honorable Governor cannot speak any other language but Hindi, and what was done was done.
You earlier you were in opposition in 2018, and we saw that it was only you who came forward and who opposed. But this time you did not oppose. Is it because you are part of the ruling?
No, roles change. Roles change. Just because Ampreen has gone to government, that does not mean that opposition shall not highlight it. So we must be grateful that it was highlighted, despite the fact that our roles in government change. And it is not unusual for roles in government to change. It's not as if I'm in government, so I should also rise. I have to maintain the protocol, but I'm happy that it was again highlighted. And government of India should take note that they should send governors who would preferably speak the language that is spoken by the people. To speak more than that will be irrelevant at this time. We just have to continue to project this to the government of India, and it's fine to project it. It's fine. And I could not have obviously risen, but it is an important point to raise.
Yeah, this is the second time that they are sending a government. So,
is there an attempt to impose Hindi language on you?
Listen here, let us not just speak beyond. As of today, the governor could not.
We in the treasury are supposed to be audited. But if you go to the rules of conduct of business of the State Assembly, Rule 28 is very clear that a member can make a submission in his mother tongue, provided that same copy of the speech is made available to the speaker. That is as per the rule of this house. Ideally speaking though, when you communicate, I would have preferred an address in a language that I can thoroughly understand. But today, to compensate for that, what I did was read the governor's speech in English, and reading is far better because you can internalize all points of the speech better than listening to a language which I can only half understand.
Yes. What do you have to say about?
I've said whatever needs to be said. What more? Any additional
you
point?
should have placed
Yeah.
the governor should have placed in the then instead of speaking in Hindi, place the speech on the floor of the house.
The speech of the governor was placed on the table, on every member's table. One. Two, what he delivered was an abridged version of the speech. He did not cover the entire speech, which was covered by the written text. Okay? The written text had many pages. The governor spoke barely 15 minutes.
How do you see that this Arden has stated in the House that Hindi, that center cannot impose language?
There is no question of any imposition to the extent that Hindi is considered the official Even constitutionally, Hindi is the official language of this country. It is not the national language of this country.
This is the second time that we are getting a governor.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
you
the second
think
time.
that center should appoint a governor who can
Speak in English.
I can only say that when I go to Parliament.